Billy Joel is on the brain, of course, my brain, because I really like the guy, right? And he's got his current HBO Max documentary out, and so it goes. But it made me think about yet another angle to talk about this incredible artist who's 75 years of age, who is currently being treated for a neurological condition that is not life-threatening, and his way of just kind of going through everything right now, all these things going on in his professional life. And I wanted to talk about the one underrated quality that helps set his songwriting apart from a lot of his peers. And I've always had an affinity for artists who write their own music in addition to singing it. And, I revere his songbook for reasons like this. And few of Billy Joel's pop rock music peers can approach his melodic abilities. His romantic songs stand out in such a way that avoid the well-worn platitudes on which so many other writers rely. I think a lot of Billy Joel songwriting is witty and really, you can tell, take a lot of determination and thought to get across what they're trying to convey. At least I think that. But one shouldn't shortchange his willingness to do a little brawling in his songs, whether it's against critics or against others in his life. And that tendency leads honesty and humanity to his songs and endears him to fans like me, who can see something of themselves in that material. You've probably heard the phrase, try and rise above it, okay? You probably know how hard it is to do that on a lot of occasions, and it's understandable to let your anger and frustration get to the better of you. Billy Joel, who's been known to blow up now and again, understands that the temptation to go after your enemies, large and small, if only to achieve a certain measure of catharsis. And it was evident from his very first album, Everybody Loves You Now, the track from Cold Spring Harbor, comes off on the surface as a tribute to someone who's really made it big. But if you read between the lines, you'll find a deep vein of sarcasm running through those lyrics. And the song ends up being more of a takedown than a tribute. Many music critics might call a song like this one-sided. But, let's face it, how many of us can come up with nuance and understanding when we've been wronged by someone? Okay, as the singer in this song is. His response is more in keeping with how many of us would react, at least in the immediate aftermath of being left behind. Joel often reserved his fury for critics like those. A song like his number one smash from 1980, It's Still Rock and Roll to Me, is all the more fascinating because it's as if he were anticipating the critical reaction to his album, Glass Houses, and just doing this preemptive strike. What does it matter, the song suggests, how long a song is labeled, as long as it's effective? And I would say effective and accessible. Now, in some cases, Joel's ire could get him into trouble. The wonderful new documentary that I talked about at the beginning of this show, And So It Goes, talks about how his sniping at the music industry in The Entertainer, for example, might have actually stymied some of his career momentum. But in the moment, that's what he was feeling, and that's what came out of the lyrics for that track. Joel's lack of a filter in songs like these and so many others just might be his most underrated quality. And it makes him more of an everyman songwriter, in my opinion, than others who may claim that title, if that makes sense. And I can relate to his anger, his frustration, and his tendency to let things boil over in messy ways. In fact, one could always look forward to one or more of these songs popping up on albums. A lot of his fans like tracks like Honesty, but isn't it fun to really lash out with him while he's singing along to the song, say, Big Shot? The noble gestures of tracks like Allentown and Goodnight Saigon, from the Nylon Curtain, need to be balanced out by, say, the nasty takedown of a track called Laura from that album. Great track, listen to it, and think about what I'm talking about. But Billy Joel struggled at times to rise above it, both in his songs and in his life. And for that, fans of his can be eternally grateful, because they were one with their hero in that respect. And to me, that quality makes him probably one of the best songwriters out there. I'm Michael Douglas. If you like what you see here on the channel, please don't hesitate to like and subscribe. And as the late, great Barry White always used to say, let the music play, and I'll see you on the next episode.